Today, we're going to head out to Montana's Bitterroot Valley. It's one of those places that's become a symbol of the American West. But we're going to look right past those postcard views to find what's buried just underneath, a story about generations of work, one that's written directly into the land itself. Our story really starts right here. You can almost smell that, can't you? That mix of alfalfa, dust, and just the feeling of a long, hot day getting started. This isn't just scenery. For the generations who called this valley home, this was their office, their gym, their whole world. And that brings us to the main idea of this whole story, sweat equity. Now, you've probably heard that term in real estate, right? But here it means something way deeper. It's this idea that the real value of the land isn't just its price tag. It's in the calluses, the sore backs, the sheer effort that's been poured into it for over a century. It's like a living ledger. And this slide really nails the contrast. On one side, you've got the image we all see now, the romantic West from TV shows, with the fancy hats. But on the other side, you've got the reality, a ledger account of 6 generations of hard labor that shaped this place long before any cameras ever showed up. So how exactly was that ledger written? Well, it was written by hand, one bale at a time. And that brings us to the first entry in our ledger, the specific, grueling work of bucking bales. Yeah, bucking bales, it's not a gentle term, because it is not a gentle job. I mean, just imagine lifting a 70-pound block of compressed hay over and over and over again for hours under that hot Montana sun. The source actually calls it a rhythmic, full-body violence, and man, that phrase just captures the intensity of it perfectly. And you can see that rhythm right here. It's this relentless cycle. Follow the tractor, grab a bale, swing it up, and stack it. Sounds simple, but it was brutally effective at finding your body's limits. These weren't just haystacks. They were the lifeline that got cattle through those harsh Montana winters. And the price of a day's work? Oh, it was steep. Your back felt like a question mark by lunchtime. Your lungs would fill with so much dust your spit turned to paste. And that twine, it could literally slice right through your calluses. And then there was the hay itch. Just thousands of tiny, dry leaf fragments working their way into your shirt, a special kind of torture that would drive you crazy all day long. But it wasn't all just grim determination. The work had its unique moments. Every once in a while, the mechanical baler would scoop up an unsuspecting skunk, creating what the source hilariously calls a stink bale. It's just one of those gritty, funny details that reminds you this was real, messy, unpredictable life. Now, all this work wasn't just about feeding a few of your own cows. No, it had a much, much deeper history that basically powered the entire region. So let's zoom out for a second and look at that bigger picture. And this is the part that is absolutely crucial to understand. Before there were trucks and tractors, hay was fuel. It powered the machines of flesh and bone, the horses, the oxen that built the mines, the towns, the railroads of the American West. The Bitterroot Valley wasn't just some farm, it was an engine room. This timeline really puts it all into perspective. You go from fueling the massive copper mines of Butte to this incredibly deadly era of Rocky Mountain spotted fever, through the author's own time sweating in the fields, and then right up to today, where the valley is facing a completely new kind of boom. And just think about this for a second. Before the 1920s, that hay itch we talked about, that was the absolute least of your worries. A single tick bite out in that field could kill you. The work wasn't just hard. Every single summer, it was a life and death gamble. So that brings us to today, and really to the central conflict of this whole story. What happens when the rest of the world discovers a place that was built on sweat and decides they want to buy a piece of the view? And this right here gets to the heart of the cultural shift. The old social contract was what you'd call rugged collectivism. You helped your neighbor because you had to. Your survival literally depended on it. Today, that's being replaced by a more suburban, mind-your-own-business kind of politeness. They're good people, for sure, just operating with a completely different set of unwritten rules. And you can see the results of this shift everywhere you look. Those old alfalfa fields are turning into subdivisions. People are moving in not for the work, but for the scenery. Hobby farms, where the goats all have names, are replacing actual working ranches. The very look and feel of the valley is changing right before everyone's eyes. Now, it's really important to note the source is clear that this isn't about casting blame. Of course not. The appeal is obvious. I mean, who wouldn't want to live in a place that beautiful? The point isn't that the change is inherently bad, but that it comes with the risk of forgetting the history that's buried in the land. So, where does all this leave us? Well, it leaves us with the legacy of all that work, with that invisible ledger that was written in sweat and still underpins the entire valley, whether people see it or not. And this quote, right here, is the message at the very core of this piece. It's such a powerful idea. The thought that the soil itself, the very foundation for these new homes with their million-dollar views, was purchased not just with money, but with generations of physical hardship. It was paid for in a currency of calluses. And that leaves us with one final question that goes way beyond the Bitterroot Valley. As our own towns and communities change, as new people move in and old ways of life start to fade, how do we remember and honor those invisible ledgers of work that made these places what they are in the first place? What's the sweat equity that your home is built on?